Okay, let's just ease it side to side a little bit just to get the legs. Just feel the what I call the arch of the legs. So this shape. So you're coming up, going across, and going down, but without your body coming up too much. And if you really sort of let that arch swell out, then that will drive you into the outside edges of the feet, which is where we'd like to be. So we've got the roundness in the legs, and then in the middle of that, you've got this coccyx dangling down. So this is what's difficult, is getting this strong enough to support you, but being free enough here for something to hang down from it. Especially important when you come into one leg and lift up the other one. So just relax and sink. Should really be in that order, not sink and relax. And remember those two meanings of sink. One, letting yourself get lower down, closer to the ground. And the other, the sense of sinking into your energy. So that requires quietness here and a sense of withdrawing into your body. The senses are withdrawing, the ego is withdrawing, and that allows your energy to emanate out. So that's sinking into your energy. And when you get that, there's a feeling that you're melting, like ice about to melt. So your solidity is just about to become liquid. So the movements are liquid. So one of the important phrases in Tai Chi is use energy, not force. And in a sense, you know, it's just an investigation of that command, really, everything that we do. So force is just too much. It's like too much energy, too much effort. When you reduce the force to the barest minimum, then it becomes energy. Okay, now let's just stand. And stand in riding horse, but with the hands quite low. So the middles of the palms, the lagum points, which are on the pericardium meridian that goes down the middle finger. So the middle finger in Tai Chi is really important because when we do a lot of turning of the hand like this, and the axis of that turn is the middle finger. Yeah, so when we're yielding, we're twisting like this as we turn. So the middle finger feels like it's extending and getting longer. Okay, so here we just want the ward-offs quite low so that the lagum points are looking at your Dan Qian. Yeah, so you should be really familiar with the Dan Qian. And this should feel strong. It should feel really connected and together. Yeah, it's like really, it unifies you. So this is the center of gravity of the body, which means it's pulling at every part of you. You're being drawn into this area, and we just want to become aware of that. If something is happening and we're not aware of it, then we're just a bit stupid. So we just want to become aware. Awareness is everything really in this game. So again, you're feeling this arch, so you're swelling into the outside edges. The joints, the sacroiliac joints are just expanding. The sacrum feels like it's expanding. And this starts singing. So in the Qigong that I see Ronit doing, when they stand in riding horse, this is their main thing. So this would be more for healing. And this would be more for fighting. Yeah. So getting the spirit center activated and just strengthening the arms. This is just getting your overall energy in good shape. Okay, now let's just breathe with it. So just move with your breath. And just in and out from that point, like you're teasing the energy out of that point. So John used to say that he felt energy often as like filaments that were coming out of a person. So all of these centers are like plexuses which have energy filaments coming out of them. And with daily living, those filaments become tangled up, and then you get like a scab of sort of old disused energy on your surface. And this here, we're just trying to tease those filaments out. And you're just marking the breathing. You're beating time, if you like. So just feel the action in your on your dantian. So here it's like you're sucking something out with your hands, and here you're pushing something in with your hands. So your hands are doing something to your dantian. So if you coordinate it with the breath, then slowly there's this phenomenon that I call switching, where from it being your hands that were working on the dantian, it becomes your dantian, your breathing, that's making the hands move. Yeah, so your dantian is expanding out, and that's pushing your hands away, and then your dantian is sucking in, and that's pulling your hands in. So it's just gone up a level of activity, if you like. So it's very important to get up a level in the intensity, because it's the only way the old habits get broken, get eroded away. Just relax into it. So slowly the hands start taking more like a circular route. So they're not simply going backwards and forwards on the same path. It doesn't really matter how the circle is, whether it's this way or this way, whatever you feel, however it appears. And so gradually the dantian is becoming more solid, if you like. It's like the internal pressure in the dantian is slowly increasing. And so the external pressure has to increase as well to balance that. And you're just getting more and more control of it. So with each repetition, it's getting softer. It's improving. So you're sinking into your energy. And soft really just means imbued with circles. Everything is circular, everything's a circuit, a cycle. So hardness is like the straight line, the angularity, and softness is the curved, the circular. So what you feel is a funneling in and then something coming out of the back here, which you're catching with your hands as they go out. So you're pulling into the belly and then catching this energy from the back. This is why it needs to become circular. You're not pulling the energy out so much here as drawing the energy that's coming out of the Min Meng around to the front. So you're really withdrawing your front centers, your dantians, into themselves. And then just bring it out. Yeah, there should be a feeling like you've sort of cleaned the energy a little bit. It's active, but it's quieter and clearer. Okay. And now let's just move side to side again and just try and feel the energy. So remember, when I move into this foot, I want the feeling that I'm tipping. I'm tipping like I'm tipping a glass of water and the water is flowing down the leg until it reaches the ground through the heel and the outside edge. And then I just tipped that cup down this leg. So what we want to do today is to start feeling the heel. So I flow down here, and then I bring it back to the Dan Chen, and then I tip that down this leg. So let yourself lean. It's easier to feel the tipping if you let yourself lean a little bit, and it's good for the head. Stops the neck and the head getting too stiff. So flowing down. So this is hardly moving. It's really just your body leaning that's getting the weight to go down here. So what I'm wanting is to get the leg to soften and bend a little bit more as I sink into it, like a spring. As I put my weight on the spring gives, it bends, and I go down a little bit. And then you can let that springiness just bounce you back. So that leg bends, and then there's a sense of bouncing back. So the legs need to be conditioned like springs. Which means I have to just relax them so that they're no longer hard. So we're just trying to feel the sinking, the movement downwards into the heel. And then the up is just the bounce, the recoil from the ground. Just bend the leg. It's like I was thinking like reaching down for like a bag or something. Okay, now as we repeat it, so we've been concentrating on the down, your weight flowing into the leg like a liquid. And now just try and be aware of the upward flow. So the strength growing up from the ground. So as you're sinking into the leg is gaining strength, otherwise you just fall flat on the floor. And that strength is creeping up your leg from the ground. So that's what we want to try and feel. It's going in the opposite direction of your weight, so it's creeping up the leg. And then when it reaches here, you can allow that to take you back. It's just the bounce, but the bounce really dissected and looked at very carefully. So you just slow everything down so that you can become aware of what's happening energetically rather than just mechanically and physically. So I sink, the strength grows up from the ground, and I just have to delay my movement until I feel that strength has reached all the way up the leg and has hit my hip. And then it's as though someone's got a hand here and they just push me gently across. So I want to feel the energy. So it's not me that's doing the movement, it's the energy that I'm generating that's making the movement happen. So energy is like a mediator. It's like the middleman. So everything that happens that we want to happen in Tai Chi is like a secondary action. It always goes through energy as a mediator. So I sink, something comes up. Whoa. And the longer you can delay it, the better. The more you will develop the strength required for that energy to become stronger in time. So one, and whoa. So pushing here and yeah, so if you were doing this with someone and you were wanting to help them, then you would be there pushing them, and they would be trying their best not to be too helpful, because when you become helpful, you cut off the energy. And so just imagine there's another person, you're really having to pull that body across, and just how heavy it would be if they're being a little bit awkward. You should feel the same with your own body. Just feel its weight, its inertia, its reluctance to move. Okay, and now let's just come back to this. Maybe bring the feet up a bit. They tend to get wider when you're working on sinking and relaxing, but they don't need to be. So just feel this center. So you want that when you put your mind here, round here, these two sacroiliac joints and the sort of tops of the buttocks should sort of spring open. It's like the tension that your mind, awareness is like a tension. It's like a good tension, yeah? So you just become aware of this point and it just tightens very slightly, and that allows the relaxation at the back. Normally our back is much too tight and the front is too flabby, you know, because we're coming out of ourselves all the time, which is using these muscles on the back. So here, we're just bringing awareness to this point and then just allowing this whole area to fan out. And it should happen automatically. So as soon as you put your mind here, this relaxes here. Okay, now let's bring the hands up into our normal place. So this is for the heart center. And now let's just bring the hands in and out the same way that we did with the belly. Again, like you're teasing the filaments that emanate from your heart. You're straightening them and cleaning them, like you're scraping the shit off them, and you're untangling them slowly. And again, it's in time with your breathing. Yeah, so we're trying to clean the filaments and untangle them so that we can draw them in, not so that they can flail around better, but so we can actually withdraw. We can withdraw the self and let the energy out. So they're mutually exclusive. You can't have both together. So if you want to bring your energy out, if you want to sink into energy, as we say, then you need to withdraw the self, withdraw your front into itself so that the back can enter the world. So the energy from your back is quite sort of, it seems dark because you can't see it. So these senses, our normal 5 senses, are not much use when it comes to dealing with the energy from the back. So just feel the air thick. It's difficult to wade through it. And again, it picks up a circularity, so it starts doing this a little bit. So there's a sense that you're pulling the front in, and then you're dragging the back around to the front. So this is ward off. So when you work on the upper centers, the heart and the head, it tends to make you a little bit top heavy. So you need to really sink so that you don't lose your root, you don't come out of the ground. There's a lot to think about. And then just bring them out into just ward off. And now just feel this area. It's like it's become lighter and cleaner and emptier. I was thinking today about mastery, yeah, because they say when you become a master, it's very important that you don't practice too much, because it will just make you go backwards, yeah. So in a sense, mastery is like, it's that point where you switch from heaviness to lightness, where it suddenly clicks that we've been doing all this sinking and relaxing to hit that light mist that's rising from the ground all the time and hook into that. And you have to approach that very lightly. So that's what needs to be approached indirectly through something else. So by sinking and relaxing, you come to this rising. And that's the most important thing. Okay, and now let's just go back to this rocking side to side. So just tipping down the leg, feeling the strength growing up from the ground, delaying my movement until I feel it pushing me here, and then going across with it. So all the joints in the leg are sort of relaxing, and they sort of fill with air and become springy, like a balloon. A balloon is full of air under pressure, and it's springy and bouncy. So the ankle, the knee, the hip, and particularly the sacroiliac, well, particularly the hip, really, that's the important one. But the sacroiliac tends to get neglected. So we just want to feel that as well. The sacrum is a bone in itself. It's not just this hip complex. Ooh. And we just want to catch the two moods. So the mood of sinking is, we're all familiar with that. It's sort of depressive, a little bit collapsing and going down. And the mood of lightning is just the opposite of that. So that's something in you really lifts, like joy, what Spinoza called joy. So there's a joy that filters up through your body. So you've got the sinking and you've got the joy coming up in the opposite direction. And it's very important that we keep those separate, working together. We don't let them combine and become a mediocrity. They're always working together, like yin and yang. So one, and something just comes up. So now what we want to do is just feel the cross energy, which is basically that, but it comes into the opposite side of the body. So the energy that's coming up, which is your strength really growing up from the ground, which becomes like a joy, you just allow it into the opposite side of the body. It floods into the hand and into the foot. And then as soon as it gets there, you allow it to take you. So you have to delay just a little bit longer for the energy to get up the spine, across the shoulder, into the arm, and then it will drag you. So here, ooh, and something comes up and out, ooh, and I let it pull me. Sinking. Ooh. Yeah, so you almost have to wriggle it up the spine and then just let it take you. So as I sink into this leg, this whole side of my body fills with that energy that's coming up. So it's most obvious when in a kick. If you're going to kick someone, then obviously you need to be balanced on your other leg. So the energy just whips up from one leg and into the other. And that's relatively easy because we're so used to working on this arch. But then to get it to navigate up from the sacrum, up the spine and across, you have to do something. You have to sort of get it to sort of pass through. So your structure needs to be slightly different. And if you don't feel it, you just pretend. You become an actor. John always used to say that that's the skill that you need in this game. The ability to act, to pretend, to fake it till you make it. So I sink here, something comes up me, and I just let it pass all the way through. And then I move. So it's like a whip. Imagine one of those really heavy bull whips. Yeah, so the heavy part where you hold is on the ground and it's coming up, it's gradually getting thinner and thinner through the body until once it gets to your hand, it's just pure energy. Sinking and ooh. And as it's coming up, it's getting straighter. See, this side of my body is straightening as this side of my body is bending. So the energy is generated by the bend in the leg, but it straightens as it comes up to the body. So sinking and And just feel how you have to keep the sacrum forwards, because we want to look at everything and inspect what we're doing. We tend to do this. So this really has to be forwards. Otherwise it loses the line that's up my body. The sacrum is on the line. I sink here and okay, so as you do it, just let this heel lift up and feel this heel digging down. We'll get into that a bit more in a sec. So the two heels are always doing the opposite thing. One is trying to come out of the ground and come up, and the other is trying to go into the ground like a needle. It's trying to inject into the ground, to suck, to tap energy out. So this one is sinking down with my weight, and this one is coming off the ground so that I can either step or kick or put it down again. So okay. And now let's just try just working on the heels a bit more obviously. So just in attention posture. So in attention posture, which is the first posture of the form, we're pretty much 50-50. So what I want to do is start feeling the heels doing this. They're sort of rocking. One goes down, one comes up, one goes down. But I want to go down into my heel, not because I've sunk in it, which would be heavy. When you sink like this and you just go down, what tends to happen is your weight flattens out over your foot. It sort of distributes over your foot. What we're wanting is for it to go down the heel, so it needs to funnel in as you sink. So to do that, we just get it to come from the lightness. So we get it to come from the knee that's rising. So I just let this knee rise. If you imagine the puppet man up here holding your strings, and then the string that's attached to the knee just gets a bit of a tug, and because you're really loose, it swings you across and drops you down into this leg. And then you just bring yourself up. And again, this knee is pulled up and you just swing. So it swings you over here a little bit and it turns you so that this is now a front foot, which you can kick with. And then you come back up. So the knee. Whoa. So this sense of the knee being pulled up by a thread is very similar to the feeling of the coccyx pulling down from a thread. Yeah? It's just they're going in different directions. So this knee is coming up. And just feel the heel. It's like you're lowering your coccyx down a little tube and into the heel, down into the ground. Okay, so... Oh. Yeah, so what we're trying to feel here is the sinking coming from the lightness, not the heaviness. Because the lightness is the initiator, it's the spirit. The spirit initiates everything. So something in me comes up and so one heel down and one heel up. So this is what we're trying to catch, is just this sense of one going down, one coming up. And if they're sort of equal, then you can sort of just be in the middle because they balance each other. So one and down. Yeah, so now let's just feel the leg, the supporting leg. You very much want it to be curved like this. So it comes into you at the side, not underneath. If it came into your body underneath, so in other words, if you weren't sinking enough and letting your knees swell out, then you'd be crushing up your coccyx. So as I sink down, the coccyx is dangling really light and free, but the leg is attached to the side really strong. And I'm driving the heel down. So that feeling of the heel descending into the ground, injecting into the ground, is your sacrum and coccyx hanging down. And, ooh. So I can't go down into both heels at the same time. So I need to lift one heel in order to go down into the other one. And I need to go down into the heel, otherwise I won't tap the energy from the ground up into this side of my body. So, yeah, so there's this sense of really sort of lowering down. You're sort of disappearing. Always think of those pictures of the saints, you know, as they're praying, their spirit is lifting up, but their body is just melting downwards in humility. It's exactly the same here. Something in us is reaching up. And I want that to be really pure. I don't want it to have any of me attached to it. So I just let everything of me just sink down. So, yeah, so I would call this prayer. Prayer without words. Yeah. So this is how you become a saint, by practicing this. Wow. Okay. And now let's just stand again. So let's have a slightly wider one, because we're going to do this point now. So we need quite a firm foundation. Otherwise it really gets top heavy. So just start with the belly. Again, as soon as you hit this point with your mind, you spring open across the buttocks and the sacroiliacs and the sacrum. And then just bring it up to the heart. And just feel this really tender, loving space, your huggy space, the space you'd bring someone into when you gave them a really good hug, or if you were holding a baby. Yeah. Okay, now just bring it up to here. So just bring it up. And again, the middles of the palms just pointing at this point. And so some people, it's quite low. It's like on the bridge of the nose, not the bridge of the sort of this bit between the eyes. Some people prefer the forehead. John used to say it was the low point. And again, it's exactly the same idea. You're just focusing here. You're bringing energy to your upper dantian. And then you just, again, you just pump like we did with the others. And this can be almost imperceptible if you want. It's really just marking the breath. Yeah, so if you have someone that says they can't feel energy, then just do this to them. Get them to stand there and just do this to their head, and they'll realize they do. So for me, these three centers, they just have slightly different wavelengths. So this has the high frequency, the short wavelength. The Dantian has the really long wavelength. It's really deep and low. And the heart is the middling one. As you think of the Tibetans, when they do that really deep chanting, they're just trying to get their Dantian resonating. So you have to chant really low. It's like those contralto, the male sopranos. They call it head singing. So it's making it's making this one vibrate when you sing high. Mm. So remember that Buddhist poem? Bright and empty, functioning naturally, the mind does not exert itself. It is not a place of thinking, difficult for reason to fathom. So the mind is a place of energy. Yeah, so we've spent millennia just locking the ego and the mind together until people can't really distinguish them. So the mind is much bigger than the ego. But you only get to it when you let the ego go, when you let go of that chatter in your head, basically. Whoa. Okay, and now let's just try this sort of heart one. It's just making a circle really with each hand, but you're passing through the points. Yeah, so you're hitting each point gently as you come down. So the top point, top dantian, the heart, and then the dantian. So you're getting an energy streaming down through your body from the top to the bottom. And here you just want to try and feel it splitting and some of that energy going down the legs, the rest of it coming back up to keep the circuit going. Okay, and now just bring the hands out into the low ward off. So just again, just feel as soon as you, so mind in the dantian is like a tightening of the dantian. So it's a real thing, it's a real place. It's not just an abstract idea, putting your mind in the dantian. And so normally when people think they're putting their mind in the dantian, they're basically bringing an image of their dantian up into their mind, into their head. So here, just tighten the dantian a little bit and just feel how that opens the back. It opens your minmeng. And then bring the hands up here and feel that when you focus on this point, again, there's a slight feeling of tightening in the heart. Not enough to make it a bad tightening, but enough to just be a togetherness. Is that there's like a control, a togetherness here, which enables it to spread across the back and down the arms. So you've always got this circuit going in Tai Chi. It's coming out of your back and into the center. And then just bring the hands up here. This one's easy to feel in a way. And just feel this point, just tightening. It's like an awareness. Again, awareness is a tightness, is a slight tension. So as soon as you become aware of something, there's a gathering of your attention in that place. And that will be enough just to let this swell out and open. So you've got this feeling of something coming around and then entering through here. And you can do it with any of the points. Yeah, so you've got the solar plexus as well. You've got the perineum, so you can have the hands here. The throat, that's really important. The upper heart, the thymus, the top of the head. Yes, all of these points can be worked on in the same way, using the same technique. Okay. And now let's just come back to this and get the final ingredient in this moving side to side. So I'm sinking down, the strength from the leg, from the ground is growing up and throwing me across. So just let's get that to start with, and then we'll get the cross energy. And so up. Ooh. Yeah, so the sinking is this sort of heavy, like you've dropped something and it's just falling slowly to the ground. Imagine you drop like a pebble into water, the way it just trickles down. This is like your energy dropping. The strength that's coming up, it's like a growth. Imagine like a time-lapse film of a shoot coming out of the ground from a plant. You know, the way it sort of twists and turns as it comes up into the air. And so the going down is just relatively smooth, and the coming up is a bit tortuous. It's like, you know, in Tai Chi, they talk about it. They have this thing, I can't remember what they call it now. It's a pearl that has a hole in, and the hole has a really strange pathway through the pearl. It's a natural hole. So there's this sense of this energy is sort of twisting and getting its way up, and you have to sort of just shift yourself around a bit just to allow it to sort of come up. So now it's expressing in the cross energy in the hand. If you want the energy to come up and it's just reluctant, just raise your eyebrows. It's one of John's big secrets. He used to say, I have the strongest eyebrows in the world. So, and out. Sinking down, something comes up, lift the heel, and that will encourage you to go down the other one and get more energy, and then you can let it take you. Okay, now what we want to look at now is the mechanics of the return. So remember, I think it's in like Indiana Jones. You know, he used to carry around a whip, that he used to wear coiled here. And it's like if there was a chasm and he needed to bridge it, he would whip his whip over a branch and it would hook around the branch and then he would just swing across. Yeah. So it's like that with the energy. So the energy comes up and out and then it catches something and you just soften this whole side. You just drop the heel drops down and the whole leg just softens, and that draws you across because you've attached your energy. Your energy is already there and you softly let the body follow it. Now, this is the icing on the cake, if you like. So here, whoa, and then I just bend everything. The heel drops, the knee bends, the hip bends, the arm bends, and I just flow across. So now it's the energy, the cross energy that's pulling the body. Before it was the rising energy that was bouncing the body. So just a different mechanics of movement. And we really want to feel that it's that breaking, that softening, that melting in this straight side of your body. It's the straight, the energy side becoming bent. And it's that moves you. It's the yielding. So yielding is straight becoming bent, and attacking is the bent becoming straight. So something's filtering up my body. I catch something and then I just let that whole side break. So the energy comes up, it catches. So it's really light. It's like a chameleon, you know, the way I think it's meant to be the fastest thing in the animal kingdom is the chameleon's tongue. And it shoots out to stick onto a fly and pull the fly into its mouth. So you're sinking down, the energy shoots up, it sticks, and you draw yourself forwards. It's exactly what you would do if you were walking. If you were walking carefully rather than stupidly, which is how most of us walk. So you're having to take real care over where you put your feet and to be quiet so that you don't disturb the environment. Yeah? So you'd do it energetically. You'd reach forwards with your foot, you'd feel the ground, and then you would just draw yourself into that spot once you're sure it's safe. It's one of the problems with creating a safe environment is it becomes an environment without care because you don't need it. You don't need to take care and you don't need to give care. Ooh. So I'll go down this heel and this heel comes up. The interesting thing about working with the heels is that it really softens the lower back, and then the vertebra there can just stretch out a little bit. Sinking into the hip. Yes, let the heel come up, and then just as you yield into the leg, you put the heel down. Yeah, so this is, you know, like the stepping forwards. When, you know, they put the heel down first. They don't really, because they point the toes. They point the toes really go down first, and then the heel melts down as they come into the foot. So it's very gentle, very respectful. very careful. Ooh. And I just draw myself. Okay, and now let's just bring it back to this. Okay. So if you have a narrow riding horse, just make sure these are out here. Doesn't matter how wide the riding horse is. Just if it's really wide, then you'll just hit exhaustion quicker. Okay, now let's start down here. Okay, as soon as you hit that point, as soon as you stimulate it with your palms or with your mind, there's a slight tightening and that opens the min meng. And then just up to here. And again, the palms stimulate this area. Your mind going there just grips it very slightly. And that enables the back to fan out from the shoulders, the shoulder blades. This one is still going if you can, like a figure of 8. Ooh. And then just up to the head. Ah. Again, as soon as this feels like it's gripping and pulling in, this really opens out. And then just slowly down, feel the centers, heart, belly. Just bring the hands to the belly and just step up. Again, injecting the heel to lift the other heel. And then just, yeah. So it's like leaving the work. There's a sense of relief. But there's always a sense that you've left reality in order to come back to the unreality of your daily life. And then just let the hands down. So you should look really trim and neat and tidy. And again, you've still got this feeling of space here. Otherwise, your legs will interrupt the descent of your coccyx, which you don't want. Ooh. Okay,